Mike Sandiford, and welcome to Northwest School of Fly Fishing Virtual Fly Fishing Academy. I'm here on this beautiful Boise River section. I'm on the North Channel, not too far from Linder Road, and I want to talk to you today about leaders. Leaders are really simple, a piece of monofilament, and they are the middle section between your fly and your fly line. It's just a 9 or 10 foot long piece of monofilament that you tie the end of your fly on. And that's what most people think about that. And you buy these leaders and you take them out and you put them on the end of your fly line, and then you stretch them out and you tie your fly on, and then you go at it. Well, we need to know a little bit more about some little bit of shortcuts and a little bit more of how good anglers are doing it nowadays. There's a little bit of tricks to this section that leader companies like Rio and Scientific Anglers, they don't want you to know about these things, because leaders can be expensive. They're anywhere from $5.99 to $10.99 for one leader, and they don't. And new anglers, or certainly anglers that don't fish a lot, tend to go through a lot of leaders. Well, this is a trick that's going to help you keep just one leader on. So before I get into that, I need you to understand that a leader, again, is a 9 foot piece of monofilament, but that leader really, metaphorically, is like the wheel on your vehicle. A wheel on your vehicle consists of a tire and a rim. Together, a tire and a rim create a wheel. You can't drive anywhere without rims for your tires, and vice versa. A leader, metaphorically, is just like that. A leader is the wheel. And our leaders consist of two sections, just like a tire and rim, except we call it the butt section and the tippet section. The butt section is the tapered section. It's tapered out of an extruding machine somewhere in Korea or China. It just goes and it tapers. Well, the tapered part of the leader is the butt section, and it can be as big around as 40-pound test at your fly line. And it's heavy like that so that it can turn your tippet section over. Now, the tippet section is the tip. The very tip of your leader is called the tippet section. That section can be 3 or 4 or 5 feet long, depending on the reel maker. Now, the tippet section of your leader is not tapered, and that's what these little spools are right here. These are 50 feet of straight 6X tippet. There's no taper to them, and it is the tire on your rim. However, every time you tie on a fly, you're using 6 inches of tippet. So if you buy a 9 foot leader and you tie a fly on it, now you have an 8.5 foot leader, and so on and so on. Pretty soon you have this real short leader, and you can't have short leaders in dry fly fishing or nymph fishing. Short leaders create drag. Long leaders eliminate drag, or at least allow us to control drag. Drag is an artificial movement of your fly caused by current on your fly line leader. So we have to maintain long leaders. So this one's 9 feet. The middle second I put a fly on, it's now 8.5 feet, and then sooner or later we're going to have to put a new tire on our rim. In our case, we need to add tippet, more tippet, to lengthen our leader out, and that requires you to tie a surgeon's knot to extend that leader out. And pretty soon you get a fluster, and you get a knot, and blah blah blah. Next thing you know, you reach in and put a new leader. Well, that's certainly what the country club wants you to do. Well, my job today is to tell you a little bit of shortcut and how we can prolong that and make it really, really easy for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 9 foot leader out of the bag, and you're going to see a coil. And a lot of times this coil will go crazy on you. But you got to understand how to do that, and how we're going to do this is we're going to put that coil in our finger. And the butt section, which is the heaviest, is the section that's wrapped around the coil to keep it coiled. So I'm going to unwrap that coiled section to the point where I can unwrap it on my fingers. If I don't use my fingers, it's just going to go whoop, and you're going to be trying to figure this out and sitting on a rock and redoing. You see me, by keeping it tight, I'm wrapping it around like this. And when I'm all done, I now have a 9 foot leader. The butt section, which you see right here, is really heavy. It goes to my fly line, and as it tapers down, it hits the tippet section right about here, and that's straight, and that goes all the way down to 2.5 pound test. And that's my full leader. And as we use up tippet, we have to add tippet on. So what I'm going to show you today is a little trick that we're using today in fly fishing. Is what we're doing is right out of the package, we're cutting all the tippet off. So if you watch me right here, I'm going to see if I can prejudge where that ends. There's my tippet section, there's my butt section. I'm going to, at this point, cut this off. And now I only have half of a leader. I have a butt section, but no tippet. Now, where I cut it off, I'm now going to tie a perfection loop. So what I'm creating now, I'm creating a loop at the end of my butt section. Trim the excess off. And now I have a loop at the end of my butt section, and I have a loop at the end of the leader that goes to my fly line. It looks just like that. But I only have half a leader. That means I still have to add tippet to this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add tippet, and that's these little spools you see on my line. I'm going to take some tippet off, like this. Get 3 or 4 feet. It's better to have too much tippet than not enough, because I can always trim the excess off. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I got this big piece, long piece of tippet, I'm going to use this tippet to complete my leader. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to tie a loop on the end of this tippet, and then I'm going to do a loop-to-loop to my butt section, creating the final leader. And I'm going to do it, like I said, I'm going to make this quick. And there I have it. So now I have a 3 or 4 foot piece of tippet with a loop on the end. I have a loop on the end of my butt section. I have the butt section in this hand, the tippet section in this hand. All I got to do is a loop to loop, and I have a complete leader. So I'm just going to slide that loop over. Take that very tip or end of my tippet through the loop. And now it's connected, and that's called a soft knot because it can be removed. Now I have a complete 9-foot leader. Now why am I doing that? Because as I start using up tippet by adding new flies, losing flies, or I might get in a big snarl, and now I have a short leader. You can see right here I only have a little about 12 inches of tippet. I need to add tippet. The way they want you to do it is they want you to add tippet by tying tippet onto your tippet. And now you've created a knot in your leader, and that's the weakest point of the leader is a knot. And now you start adding more and more knots, and pretty soon you start cutting into your leader to get no knots, and pretty soon you've cut into you're running your vehicle on your rims. You're going to flatten your rims, and it's going to ruin your rims. They won't hold air in your tires anymore. It's the same thing with the leader. You get frustrated and you just go put another leader on. Now the beautiful thing about this is this happens to all anglers, is we're on the river and we get a big mess, a big huge knot. We have to sit on a rock and we have to try to untie it. We spend 10-15 minutes untying the knot. Well, with this system you don't have to do that at all. You just cut the fly off. You just cut it off at the loop. Take out some more tippet, put a loop on, do a loop-to-loop, tie your fly back on, and you're fly fishing again in 5 minutes. So this is a way that you can have one leader all season. And it's easy to change leaders. You're not tying a surgeon's knot or a blood knot. You're simply, like you saw me do, I'm just whipping off a piece of tippet, cut it, put a quick loop in it, and doing loop-to-loop. I know some fellows that have little wallets full of pre-tied tippet. They'll just go into their wallet, take out their little section, loop to loop, boom. They have a complete back to 10, 11-foot leader. Leader companies don't want you to know this kind of stuff. They want you to go out and buy another $8.99 leader or $7.99 leader and keep buying those leaders. Keep buying that stuff, but you can have one leader last you all season. And later on, as you get more and more involved in fly fishing, you can start engineering, building your own leaders with the same technique. So think about that next time you buy a leader.